In this video, I talk to the founder of the Seidel Agency, Steve Seidel, and he has a 9-step process for starting an online business. In this video, we talk about starting up your passions, your purpose, your skill. We also talk about validating the market and the most profitable niches so that you can start your own successful online business. Check it out. G'day, Steve. Thanks so much for joining us today. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm excited to talk to you and share a little bit about some of the things that we both do. It seems we both sometimes work from home, so it's fun to talk about that in ways that we can provide for our families doing so.
Yep, for sure. And we were just chatting a second ago how you've got a little 6-year-old and an 18-month-old. What are their names?
Oh, thanks for asking. So my daughter is actually, she's going to be 7 now. Savannah is her name.
Wow.
And then my other daughter's name is Sawyer, and our last name is Seidel. We're big fans of the alliteration.
Nice.
So they keep me busy. It's great. So, I have a co-working space downtown here in Lexington, Kentucky.
Yeah.
So I go there and work, but oftentimes, I'll take calls after hours or early. And just out of the frame here is my, French doors. My daughter will just be sitting there banging. And usually I'll just turn the camera over and everybody loves to see it. It's actually like the closer. Anytime I show people my daughter, they're like, oh, okay, great. It's like, we got to start timing that a little bit better.
Yeah.
Okay, now send her in. Okay, there's my daughter. Did you want to work together?
And deal.
Deal, done. Sign on the dotted line.
Yeah. So today we are going to talk about starting an online business. I'm really excited to share, in particular, a resource that you sent to me not so long ago. In fact, I'm going to share it up on my screen and hopefully you'll be able to see it too.
Yeah, let's check it out.
Yeah, so I wanted to share this, how to turn your passion into a profitable online business. Now, this absolutely gets me buzzed to the absolute maximum. But before we do that, can you just give us a little bit of information about your background and the Seidel Agency, how that came to fruition, and a bit of your background.
Yeah, real quick. So I went to school at Penn State University. I was an industrial engineer major. So I started out making microprocessing chips for Motorola in the semiconductor fab. And my passion has always been arts, entertainment. And so I got laid off and I started pursuing arts and entertainment. I was an actor and a host for some time. And then, I decided I needed to take the power back, and there was an opportunity for me to work with a company. It was called Z-Box. It was a startup based out of New York. So I was able to take my left side of the brain with my right side of the brain, some of my the quantifying and then the qualitative skills, kind of put them together. And eventually I got an opportunity with them. I got laid off again. So it's like, man, so I've been laid off 3 times in my life, but every time I got laid off, another door opened. And with that last opportunity, I decided, okay, look, I have a background in marketing. I know how to create compelling content. I had started my own YouTube channel. I'd sold shows, and it was no longer upon me to give my power away. I had my daughter, who's now 7, and I said, all right, I'm going to do this. And so I essentially took everything that I learned from, I worked for an influencer company. I had my own show. I worked for a startup, took all that skill set that I had compiled and started my own agency. And then I really worked with the network that I'd built out. And I started working in aesthetic medicine. My best friend had been in that industry for about 3 or 4 years. They brought me on board, and that's how I first started my company. It was just myself, and they needed somebody to run their social media platform and all their social media marketing. And from that was in 2017. I built out my organization, and I decided to call myself your virtual CMO based on all the skill sets that I had. And flash forward to the pandemic, one of the reasons that we came in contact was everybody has this increasing need for, marketing. They've wanted to work from home. They wanted to be virtual. So I had already built that out. And then when the pandemic came around, I started writing a lot of articles, really digging in deep on how I could give back, because that's our mission, is to do good, give back, and make an impact. So I was doing mentor programs, and I built this program called From Passion to Profit: How to Build an Online Business for my Penn State community. I did a big webinar, and I started coaching some other online businesses and actually taking some of my current clients through that 9-step process. And it's been, hugely successful. And so it's been great to really give back And, I wrote an article, 30 ways to make money from home. And I think that's one of the reasons we connected, because I saw some of the great stuff that you were doing, some of working from home. And so everybody's now trying to find this new hybrid model, whether you're working from home or working in an office. There's a lot of fractional CFOs, fractional CMOs. And so now is sort of the sweet spot where we're at. And I've taken all that background, and now I'm just here trying to do my best to help.
Yep. Okay. And the from passion to profit, that is the premise of, I'll get back onto it. This document, how to turn your passion into a profitable online business. Is that correct?
Yes, exactly. Push play on purpose is a slogan that I like to say, because when you push play on purpose, you're activating, you're creating motion, you're creating movement, you're tapping into some of your core emotions. And when you push play, video marketing obviously is hugely successful. Here we are in this video program. And then with that, when you can align it with your purpose, you could really build that synergy of that 1 + 1 = 3 and really make an impact. So that's what I love to do, man. Take your passion and turn it into a profitable business.
That's brilliant. So many people out there, I feel, having been in a job where I was totally frustrated, and I didn't know what was wrong with me or the job or the company or whatever it was. I soon learned that one of my biggest values was freedom. I needed to be free. So then I started my own engineering consultancy. I've run that for the last 3 years, but the whole time I've known that I've needed to work on something, grow something myself that is more about my passion. And having gone through a lot of niche research myself, I then found that the niche of working from home, starting an online business, making money online, that really revved my engine. So we share that passion, I think.
Yeah, it's great. I thank my lucky stars every day that I have the flexibility to be able to provide for my family, to pick up my daughter when she has theater camp, if you're teaching from home, to be able to chip in there. And, a lot of what you've done as an engineer, me being an engineer as well, oftentimes I'll come to clients and they'll say, oh, I can have such and such, what if I just hire a college student and do this for $500? Or, a lot of what we've built, it's not something where you're paying by the hour. This is all of the value and the experience and the key learnings and the insight that we've built over our careers that we're able to bring to these organizations. And it doesn't matter whether you're doing it in person or video, which is super exciting to see that you can build a business from anywhere. It's amazing.
It is amazing. It is nothing short of amazing. Now, this is a great document. Towards the end, I'll get you to show the viewers where they can find this and how they can get in touch with you and all that sort of stuff. But there are a couple of slides in here in particular that I wanted to focus on. One was this one's great. Can you very quickly run us through this, how to profit from your passion online?
This is a really fun infographic. So typically, everything that you've built is built on your previous failures, your previous learnings, challenges. So my organization that I was working with before I created my own agency, it was an influencer marketing company. And I would always see these files and I would put them on my desk. And there was one that I saw and it kind of had this arrow. And I was like, man, I want to create something cool. And it was how to be a successful producer, because I was a sales producer. And I was like, what if I could spell up and make everything be about up and going up and being positive? And then it didn't really take off. But a little bit later, I went back to it and I said, you know what, there's something here to this, because I feel like with what I do, I want to uplift people, in any way, shape, or form, so that they could feel better, live better, be better, work better. And so I repurposed this. And studies show, with your ability to remember, it's usually between 5 and 7. You can usually remember that. That's, when you have phone numbers, obviously there's 9 digits. So there was a lot to put in there. So it was like 9 seems like a pretty reasonable number. And I checked out some other articles. There's a really great site called BuzzSumo, where you can look at other blogs and kind of see what's working, what's not working. But what I try to do as an organization is really understand that foundation. So when I say push play on purpose, it starts with your mission. You see Simon Sinek with, it starts with why, really knowing why you're doing it. And you talked about freedom and your family and, financial stability. That really digs you into your roots. And then secondly, that messaging that you're communicating really needs to be simplified. and easy for people to understand. And then once you can land on that, I feel then you can really push forward and focus in on your marketing, scaling. To me, marketing, sales, that's all the same thing, because at the end of the day, you're looking to deliver something of value and, create an exchange where somebody trusts you and you're giving them something in return. So I separated in mission, messaging, marketing. And I love working in startups. I've worked with several startups. So, starting up was where it needed to come from. And then in the end, when you're building that business, as you're growing, you're scaling up. So that's where we go from startup to scale up.
Yep. Awesome. And why, in your opinion, I mean, I love online. Why is online important? Why do you think online is important?
So there's a multitude of reasons why I think being available online, we've seen the boost. One of my niches I work in is aesthetic medicine. So it's med spas, plastic surgeons, dermatologists. We help them grow their businesses by leveraging social media and other online strategic maneuvers. So being online, it really creates a connection for you to be able to work from home, because you're working in a portal where you're easily discoverable. In the past, there was a big push for SEO. People are still doing SEO. It's more of a long-term content play, which is extremely valuable. But as things shift and maneuver, you'll see what happened to Toys R Us. Well, Toys R Us is no longer there because competitors like Amazon respond within 2 minutes when somebody reaches out and clicks a button online. So that's the growing trend. And so for me to get ahead of this trend and really adapt to it, I don't say that brick and mortars are no longer worthy. I still think they're extremely valuable. But when you're building that business online, especially by yourself, it's just a lot easier, because you can push a product or a service and excel in whatever it is that you're really good at, and then scale that. So Etsy, if you're into crafts, is really fantastic. Personal trainer. I have a personal trainer via Zoom. These are all ways that you can really build a business pretty easily overnight, and you only need a few tools.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, the scalability, I think, is the clincher for me.
Yeah.
Now, one of the questions that gets asked a lot is, I've got no experience. I don't know where to start. What's a good place to start for someone who wants to? They kind of get the idea starting an online business is a good idea, but they don't really know what the first step is. Do you have any recommendations there?
Absolutely. I was in a similar situation. So there's often times where people say, oh, look, I'm passionate about something. I could be able to turn this into a business. But you really need to be reasonable with your self-assessment and understand, what is your skill set? What are you good at? What is your passion? Great. So in addition to that, what is your purpose? What do you feel that they call it Dharma, I think. I'm listening to Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty. It's an amazing book. But what is it that the gifts that you've been given, and what are your purpose on life? So when you can find that Venn diagram and find where they all put it together, it really can find, the synergy where you can excel from there. Another thing is, what are you really passionate about that you maybe don't like? So there's, the Black Lives Matter movement, where people were against, the way that certain people were treated, or socially conscious brands. There's a really amazing product. It's called Done Good. It's an app in the United States that I love, because I'm really into socially conscious companies. And there's this growing trend where if you are a business or an organization, I highly suggest that you find a community or a charity or another way that somebody can vote with their dollar, especially locally. If you're building out locally, you want people to come in and invest their dollar back into your community. And with that, what you can do is, when you're building that out in terms of your skill sets, find what you're passionate about, what keeps you up all night when you're working. Maybe it's video marketing, maybe it's shoes, I don't know, but to find those key pieces of the puzzle and where they intersect. And that's typically what I suggest for any business owner. What are you following on Instagram? What are you watching on TV? What are the clothes that you're buying? Who are the people that you're surrounding yourself with? And if you look close enough, and even I have a list on my phone. I wish I could show it to you, but it's the things that I love. And I literally write down every single day. Like I went outside today. It was a beautiful walk in the park. And it was like, this is amazing. I love the cool air on my face, being in nature. These are all clues into a great place that you could potentially build a business from.
Yep, absolutely. I think it's great. And it's just having that awareness of the things that you are doing every day and the stuff that you enjoy doing. For example, I often tell the story about how when I've been in engineering for over a decade now, and the whole time I've kind of known, not quite for me. Just the other day, I'm getting into some Pinterest marketing and for the Love Work at Home websites. And the other day, I was creating some pins for the first time, and I was really enjoying it. And I was saying to my wife, I just spent an hour making these pins, and come and check them out. I love this. Look at this design. It's just fun. I really, really got something out of it. And she just said, yeah, you were never supposed to be an engineer. You were definitely meant to be doing something more, which is the artsy side of the brain, right side?
Yeah.
Right side, yeah.
I think, I don't know, I'm dyslexic, so I'm just agreeing, and I'm going to let you take the hit. I'm going to take you.
Right
You should fall on the sword on that one.
Sure. But yeah, I think I was definitely destined to be doing something a bit more artsy than what I ended up doing.
I'm very similar too. It's because of problem solving, as an engineer. But what I love to do, and I've been noticing this more, is just even creating a simple logo, really understanding the color scheme. What do the colors represent? What are the icons? How's it going to be positioned inside the user avatar? How can we best represent you and your brand? How can we make an impact so that when somebody just simply sees your logo, it allows them to feel something? And when I'm working with logo designers and some of my team, just seeing the iterations on that and then getting the final product, there's just such a feeling of, fulfillment. It's amazing. I love it.
Yeah. It's the little thing.
It's awesome. And so when you find that, it's like, okay, cool. I found out where that thing is inside of me, where I feel fulfilled. How can I expand on that? How can I continue to increase that bubble and push it further outside?
Absolutely. Yeah, couldn't agree more. And what do you think about the idea of following your passion can be one thing, but what about finding a market for that passion?
Yeah, I think it's really important to have so there's two sides to the coin. So recently, I created a video course for aesthetic medicine marketing, and I talked to a couple of people, and I thought, yeah, this is really to be great. And I built this entire course based on my hosting background. And I thought it was a no-brainer and I was going to be successful. And I've always seen these other, pioneers in the space that say, look, do one course at a time, test it out, see how it's going. And so I went ahead and I was passionate about it, and I loved hosting and building all of this content. I built the whole thing and it flopped. And so now when I deal with aesthetic medicine, I give it as, a value add. My goal, like with marketing in general, is Tony Robbins says it is kind of the same thing. To be a successful marketer, you need irresistible offer and you need the ideal client. Yep. And so when you talk about your passion, you really need to understand your client. You need to understand their needs. You need to understand what makes them tick, their pain points. So sometimes when we get passionate about something, we're coming from a place of passion where you're creating. I think it's totally fine to create, but act without expectation. You could build something, you can create it. Don't expect it to be amazing. Enjoy the process. If you're looking to build something that you're, wanting to be, profitable overnight, it's very challenging. It's more of a long-term play. So it's like you talked about, your habits, your time management, something that you're going to get up and you get to go to work. You don't have to go to work. Just switching that briefly to a place of gratitude is really going to help you as well. But I do think it can pay to look at what people in your industry have already done, what's already working, where are things trending towards. The fastest way to success is to emulate that. So look at some of these pioneers in the space, read books. A friend of mine runs a company called Flash Books. He's a close buddy of mine. His name's Dean Bakari. We were going to create a company together. It was going to be called Pass Me the Passion. We started working on it and we were kind of forcing it a little bit. We're like, oh, we're going to do this whole thing. And he's like, look, dude, I'm going to do my own thing. So he started writing book reviews, like nonfiction, self-help book reviews, 10-minute podcasts. 5 years later, he is just like off the map. I still go to him to read his books because how can you not? When you're really looking to get to the top of your game, you have to invest in that. So you can have the passion side of things, but it is also something that is going to require time. You're going to have to water it like a seed so it can grow.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's interesting how you say, 5 years later, fantastic success, but 5 years is a long time to be pushing forward with something when, you know, at the very beginning, the first year, 2 years, 3 years, you might not be seeing much traction. And it takes a lot of willpower and motivation to keep going. You know what? Yes, I've only just had a few more subscribers or a little bit of increase in my audience, but I know this is going to get somewhere. I know it's going to get somewhere.
Yeah, and one of the things is really being smart with your goal setting.
Mm-hmm.
And so at the co-working space, we just have one thing, like, what is your one main goal for the day? Like, what's your highest commitment? And if you have a business, is it going to drive you close to a sale? You know, sometimes there's networking and there's other, you know, subsidiary things that you're going to do, financing, operational. But I've taken a couple of classes. Oftentimes we could find ourselves chasing the shiny object. So you can still follow your passion, but just make sure that it has an intention behind it. Make with the GPS, the goal is a process solution. Make sure that you're heading somewhere and you at least have a goal set for yourself and monitor that, because if you're not hitting those numbers, then you're going to have to iterate and change them.
Absolutely. Yep. We'll just get back to that screen shift, validating the market. Yeah. So that's kind of where I was heading with the question of, you've got a passion. It's not necessarily the best thing to follow. You might be passionate about it. You might have 3 or 4 different passions. Which one do I follow? In terms of market validation, what's the big ticket item or some of the main points that you can share with that?
Yeah, in terms of market value. So as you can see there, those are the most profitable niches online, you know, as some of the statistics and the data of where we're at. Just really understanding what it is that your goal is. And I think keeping it simple, keeping, you know, the KISS method, keep it simple, specific. Sometimes people say stupid, but just being specific in terms of, it doesn't need to be a lot. Like, you can look at the Post-it note and how far it's come and traveled. That was a mistake.
Yeah.
You know, it was like a misprint or something along those lines. And, you know, I have them right here over on my desk.
Yeah.
But there are signs. There's going to be failures. There's going to be hurdles. But it's okay to fail. It's okay to shift and to change. But I think when you are validating the marketplace, like I said before, look at some of the leaders in the marketplace. What are they doing? What are they not doing? There's always going to be an area of opportunity. One of the things that I consistently try anytime I work with a new client is oftentimes people will turn to their friends and ask for advice. They're typically, or their family, they're going to give them advice 9 times out of 10 based on how they feel. So finding trusted advisors or other people that are willing to give you, you know, feedback in terms of constructive criticism on whether or not they feel this is something that they would find valuable. Focus group surveys. The riches are in the niches or niches, just being super specific. Oftentimes I'll talk to people, and there was one company that I was working with, they were selling tea, and they're like, tea is for everybody. But that's not how it works. You really need to start small and build from there, whether or not that's in your backyard. With the socially conscious companies, I typically say, you know, start local, grow global. But seeing where your competitors are, what are they doing? What are they not doing? You know, what is the typical problem that you're solving? And really understand, what are you delivering? And that's where it's like with the simple slogan, I help X do Y so that Z. So I help online business owners grow their businesses so that they can have more financial freedom and be able to give back to their communities. So being super specific, I think, is really going to help you when you're validating the market and speaking to your target audience and seeing that target audience is out there. And I think if you're in it for the right reasons, that long-term play will be valuable. Sometimes people are looking to make a quick buck. So you'll see drop shipping, and they'll, you know, bring in resources from Amazon, and then maybe their product gets hit off, and so that's difficult. So where you're coming from a place of purpose, there's that long-term play. You're in it and you're willing to iterate and change and find other ways to ultimately satisfy the need of your target audience. But if you're not delivering value, then you have no business.
Yep. And it's got to come from, yeah, as you said, it's got to come from the right place, and the motivation comes from, has to come from the right place. Otherwise, after some time, if you're not gaining much traction, you'll just go to the next thing, go to the drop shipping, go to the affiliate marketing, go to the next shiny object.
Bitcoin, and then there's this over here, and then this, you know, all sorts of crazy stuff. So,
Yeah.
that's totally fine. You can make investments, and it's also okay to say no, even when you're building. I think what's really key when you're running an organization is it's okay to say no. Understand that, there's multiple tiers. You could be the affordable option. You could be the one in the middle, which I strongly suggest you're never that person. Or you could be somebody who's hot on the high end and you're not McDonald's or Shake Shack. So you need to understand your value. And I think 90% of that is in your mindset and knowing that you deliver a lot of value, that you're worth it, you have experience, that you have a lot to offer to that client. And so find that ideal candidate. And if they're like off in the beginning, I would say yes to everybody.
Yeah.
I was trying to do logos, websites, SEO, and eventually it becomes draining because you need to be available for your family. You need to be available for your business, but most importantly, you need to be available for yourself because you're your own CEO. You're your own CEO. And if, just like the airplane metaphor, put the mask on yourself, get your oxygen so that you can take care of others.
Absolutely. And if you're working yourself too hard to the core, you make yourself sick. Without your health, you got nothing. No business, no money. All that stuff doesn't matter. It's so you got to look after yourself. I totally agree. And stress and poor eating habits and all that sort of stuff when you're working yourself to the bone is a danger. But yeah, totally agree. So Steve, please share where can people find you, find your website, find that PDF that I just had up on the screen so that they can dive deeper.
Let me pull up this. I'll share my screen really quickly and then I'll show it to you.
Great.
So let's pull that up here. Boom. Okay. So in the beginning of the pandemic, I tried growing my hair out. I kind of liked the way that it looked, but it became a pain in the butt to really maintain that. So that's where with any landing page, it's a whole marketing strategy. If you're building out different campaigns like ClickFunnels, they all want to have value video. Well, here's my little pop-up so that we can capture emails. But if you go to the Seidel Agency, and that's THESEIDEL agency.com/purpose, it'll take you here and it'll talk to you about how to build a profitable online business. You put your email in there. There's some quotes from some of the clients I've worked with. Happy to give you guys a free consultation call. Typically, like I said, we try and hone in on your mission, then your messaging, and then your marketing. There's a webinar there. We talk a little bit more in the webinar about the 3 common online mistakes, the 5 tools to take your business to the next level, and the number 1 way to close the clients faster is really just instilling trust and making sure that you're checking off all the boxes. So yeah, if you go there, you can check it out. And, I'm on social media at the Seidel Agency. Myself personally, I'm also at Steven Seidel, STEPHENSEIDEL. Would love to connect with anybody and help make this world a better place, because that's what it's all about.
Great, fantastic. Maybe after this, if you could send me those tags and links and things, then I'll share it in the description of this video below.
Sweet.
But thank you so much for your time, Steve. Really appreciate it. That was great value. And by all means, go on and see the SeidelAgency.com. Again, linked in the description below.
I hope you got something out of that. If you know anyone who might find that valuable, then by all means share this video with them. Otherwise, hit that subscribe button, smack that bell, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.